Imagine working your whole life, never getting paid. You build a nation's wealth, but see none of it yourself. Your children inherit this injustice. This was the reality of slavery. Reparations are about righting this wrong. It's about acknowledging the immense suffering and theft that built empires. Britain grew rich from slavery. Caribbean nations were left devastated. True justice requires repair. It demands that we don't just apologize for the past, but actively work to fix its consequences in the present. Reparations are not about guilt, but about responsibility. In 1833, Britain finally abolished slavery. But instead of compensating the enslaved, they paid the colonizers. Imagine that, rewarding those who profited from cruelty. This wasn't a small sum either. It was a massive £20 million, a king's ransom back then. To add insult to injury, this debt was only fully paid off in 2015. This is not ancient history. This is a debt the UK has carried, a symbol of its refusal to truly confront its past. What's even more disheartening, the silence from some of our own. Politicians like David Lammy and Kemi Badenoch, both of African descent, haven't championed reparations. These are powerful figures who could amplify the call for justice. Their silence gives cover to those who want to sweep this issue under the rug. It's a betrayal of their heritage and a disservice to the communities they represent. Section 4, Stockholm Syndrome, when captives defend their captors. Some argue that focusing on the past is unhelpful. They say we should move on, but how can you move on from an unpaid debt? How can you ignore the wounds that still fester? This denial is a form of Stockholm Syndrome, where victims identify with their captors. It's easier to deny the injustice than to demand accountability, but true healing requires confronting the truth no matter how uncomfortable. Section 5, Honoring True Leaders, the Legacy of Bernie Grant. We must remember those who fought tirelessly for justice. The late Bernie Grant, a black British MP, never shied away from speaking truth to power. He understood that true equality meant addressing historical wrongs. Grant's legacy reminds us that silence is not an option. We need leaders who are willing to challenge the status quo, even if it makes them unpopular. We need courage, not complacency. Reparations are not just about money. They are about acknowledging the humanity of those who were denied it for centuries. They are about finally settling a debt that is long overdue. We cannot rest until justice is served.